Good evening, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Paint Party Livestream. It's so good to be with you yet again here in the studio this evening. This Learn to Paint process, or this is my Learn to Paint process. If you've been here before, you know how it works. It's really laid back, so you can dial in, stay as long as you'd like. Wherever you're watching us, you can participate in the live stream via the comments. So whatever platform you're on, you can comment, and I enjoy taking questions from you, answering those, as well as just chatting back and forth. So feel free to make comments, suggestions, or ask questions as we go through the evening. I hope that your week has been great and that it is off to a good start. Here in the mountains, we are finally getting some spring weather. The last few weeks have been this kind of shoulder season, up and down, snow one day, sun the next, snow the next day, back and forth. There's still a little snow around, but I think it was close to 60 degrees Fahrenheit today. And so it is beautiful weather here and sunny, and was great to be outside in just a light jacket. And so we are definitely headed towards spring. By the end of April, we should be beyond the snow and everything here in the mountains. But that's kind of the game we play for living in this beautiful area all year round, but beautiful weather-wise the rest of the year, at least till probably end of September, early October. Sometimes even mid-October, we get pretty good weather. So yeah, we have it pretty nice, but so glad that you've joined me. The last few weeks, we have been working on trying to finish some of the paintings that I have here in the studio that I started in acrylic, and trying to finish those up with oil, salvage some of the ones that I've kind of just abandoned. This painting behind me is one of those. It is a painting of a kind of path going through an arch here. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that and where we want to go this evening. But let's get this all set up and get started. All right, I'm going to switch you to this camera here as I set up my, as I get my phone turned around for the palette camera. Let me see here. Just a second here. We'll turn this around and I'll get it set up so that you can see the my easel. Welcome to those of you just tuning in. So glad to have you joining the live stream this evening. As I said before, you can participate in the live stream by the comments. So feel free to jot comments, thoughts, questions into the live stream via the comments wherever you're watching. I do syndicate this across several platforms, so but primarily on YouTube. So glad to have you all joining. I see more and more people popping in, so it's great to have you. Pardon that. Let me set up my palette here so you can kind of see the colors on my palette. How's everybody's week going? I hope you had a great week and that it's going well. I have jury duty in the morning for the next few days, so not fun, but part of responsibility, civic responsibility. So, and tomorrow is our municipal elections for our mayoral candidates and city and not city commission, but school board. So I went and voted early this afternoon so I could get that done. All right, let me now set up also the reference photo. Whoops, that's not the one. That's one last week. This is the reference photo I started working from for this painting. I started this many years ago. It is very dark. The light I have on it lightens it up more, but I'm wondering, yeah, it is pretty dark. So I'd like to salvage this painting and see what we can do. So, hey there, Shirley. Thanks so much for popping in and saying hello. I hope you guys are getting the beautiful weather that we are getting up here. It is really delightful. Okay, let me see. Sorry about the wobbling. I'm trying to get my stool set up. I need to move that a little bit so you can see. This is slightly to the right, so you're looking down and from the right, so the perspective is a little skewed, but we're going to try to save this painting because I think the reference photo is so beautiful, but I don't think that I want to. I do like it being darker over here, looking through to here, so I really want to reestablish this beautiful colors that we see through the as we go through the tunnel. So let me get a few colors out here on to the palette, and that will help us as we decide, make decisions. So a few more people popping in. So great to have everybody. I can just see that there are people joining. It doesn't tell me, unless you comment, it doesn't show me who's here, but I always appreciate my silent watchers. I was going to say people lurking, but that kind of sounds nefarious. That's not it at all. So appreciate all of you who have joined. I'm putting out some burnt sienna, which is kind of the reddish color over here, and then yellow ochre is right next to it, and then cad lemon or cad yellow light, I think, is the closest. Cad lemon is Winsor Newton, so it calls it cad yellow or cad lemon, but it's that bright yellow. It's good for mixing orange or, of course, highlights. Then we'll do I'm going to get rid of that blue. It's still there, but it's a little, I don't know, little polluted. So I'm going to put some ultramarine blue out as well. May need green, I'll leave it there, but put this out. And I haven't gotten a chance to get to the studio beyond last week, so that's why I'm having to put out all pretty much new paint on the palette, because I haven't been painting in the studio. So that's the deal. All right, let's look at what we have and where we want to start. Now, I want to start at the furthest from me and start to bring forward this painting. So let's get in here and do a little bit of, oh, these are really fuzzy. Let me just see. if I can do some, I have a bunch of, you'll hear the rattling, I have a bunch of brushes here off to the side. Okay, let's see. All right, I think what I'm going to do is mix kind of a light. I do want the contrast of the light there in the background. So I want to mix kind of a medium. I'm going to take some yellow ochre, and then I do want to mix kind of this medium light, kind of, I heard something the other day, a painter I was watching said that John Singer Sargent, who's a famous painter, said start with the mid-tones because then you can go dark or light on either side of that. So, I mean, he's not wrong, but I want to kind of see where we can carve in some perspective on this. So and I'm trying to correct some of the errors I see in my drawing. Trying to give us a good window to look through. That makes sense. I hope it does. Now, we'll do that. Now let's look at some, see if we can mix some over here. Some of this more yellow, red tone, maybe kind of an, we'll just kind of mix. See if we can this painting was originally done when I was really trying to find my ability to stray from the to stray from the photo, the reference photo. So I'm trying to decide if I want to keep like this, like a creek coming down here. And I don't have reference for that. However, we can see down here, it is a direct reflection of what's in the sky on this side, our side of the arch. We see the sky and the trees behind, because we're looking more direct, but in the distance it's going to be more the sky colors, which seem to be partially cloudy. So it's going to be, you know, I don't know, let's see if we can, let's see what we can do with some kind of, I don't have any idea, but let's see. We can take kind of a little blue, our orange, and kind of pop it back a little bit, but not sure. Just kind of let's see what we can do if we put this in there. There. I'm basically just putting shapes in so that I can decide later what I want. I'm deciding that this is going to be kind of a little, because it was drawn in there. We'll see if we can make it a little waterfall. Bring this a little more forward. And we can decide how much of it is reflection. Because typically when you look at something into the distance, the further it is, the more you get a reflection of whatever's above it, the colors, the whatever. The more you look like down through the water, the more you see what's underneath. And so that's something we have to keep in mind. About the angle that we are looking at. Okay, well that gives us kind of something to work with. It's kind of highly saturated, but that's okay. We will come back eventually and want to do a lighter tone back here, because this is going to be reflecting more of the sky above it, so it's going to be that light blue, where then up here, down here, it's going to be darker because we're going to be seeing more through to the bottom of the water, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where we're going. Hey there, Big Toad, so glad to have you. Good Monday to you. I hope that you are having a great week so far. I was just opining about my thoughts on how to salvage this painting. So we started going in, I'm correcting my drawing a little bit from several years ago, and I'm putting in kind of what I describe as a kind of mid-tone. I want to go in and put kind of some mid-tone colors in here, and then from there go dark and light. I think I can use I do still want it to feel much more bright over in the background. Hey there, Olan. So good to see you. I am drawing it's a tunnel going through with, I put in a little creek going through here, a little bit further back than it looks like in the reference. So I'm just kind of now putting some of this contrast in, but I want it to really, I want it to stand out the way it does in the reference, because I really like that bright green color and the highly saturated kind of looks like beginning of fall colors. So that's what's going on. I think I am going to put that tree with kind of some pretty highly saturated greens in there, and it's going to go right to we'll just see. This may be too bright. I'm just kind of going back and forth with some yellow ochre. Kind of, that is really, put some burnt sienna into it, kind of give us a reddish orangish color. Oh, that's, I think, a little bright, so let's bring in some, especially for in the background. We don't want it all to pop forward. We want that feeling, but if we don't have any variety, then everything pops forward, if that makes sense. So I want to do some colors that are gonna diffuse. It's almost like a modeling stage that I'm doing here, kind of just giving some, kind of creating my own kind of world back in here, using the reference as kind of a, just a little bit of a guide, but not too specific. I'm using some of this darker just to give perspective of how the water's moving forward. See, now that green looks garish, so we need to bring some kind of more natural green in. To support it. It's okay to have those highlights, but I came in, we need some shape of there. Now hey there, Miss Martin, thank you. Yeah, I really like this reference. I'm trying to change it up a little bit because I want it to really feel like there's something just on the other side. That's why I put the water in, and like I just want to go there. That's what I want the feeling when you see the painting, is like I want to go there. And so that's why I'm emphasizing the light on the other side of the tunnel. But yeah, that's the intent. I'm taking some of this darker color to pull us into, because I want some shadows in this highlighted bush here, or area, because I want it to feel like cohesive. When I first went in, I was just putting in some shapes so that I could see the shapes are where I want them. But I do want these pretty dramatic, stark differences right up around. Around these yellow bushes. I kind of want a reddish color under these. there. Let's see. I want to go in along this. Want to lay in these rocks, what they are, and the shape a little bit better. So I'm going to put in kind of shadows on the rocks and the reflections, and then the highlights sit on top, of course. It's all these little contrasts that will make it really pop over time. If I can get all these values correct. I'm using what I already have here to kind of define my path a little bit. I'm also using the I'm using the reference as just a little bit of a guideline. There we go. Little by little. I am going to take this same kind of base shadow color and put in some of the edges of this stone wall, because I do want it to stand out a bit. There we go. So we'll start putting, and right about here is where we get, pretty quickly it goes into I have a feeling this painting is one we can actually turn around, do something really nice with. Again, I'm just kind of putting some we'll get this dialed in. That will we don't have to put a lot of detail down here because we want the eye to go straight through. We don't want it just tied up with all this detail here. So one thing I know now that I didn't know as much then or didn't pay attention to as much is when you have something like bricks like this architecturally, you usually have some, even if it looks like it's a highlight, you have a shadow on the opposite side. So like even these divots in the rock, have shadows with the highlights. And we can go back and, but this is giving it's getting the feeling I want from this is that I'm getting it. So that makes me happy. And I think the shape of where I want to go is pretty good. The water looks cool. What else? Okay, let me go back a little bit and just take some of this orangish red and put some mix of colors. You may not be able to see this enough, but I want to mix the colors we have. do think we can go in here with some pretty bright yellows. Might have to go back with some, for sure, with some highlights later, I think. Maybe not. I just want the shapes to read correctly. And if I can get that, then I know the rest of it will work. We need some kind of vertical and horizontal. Okay, I don't want to lose the power of what I have here. If that makes sense, I don't want to. I want it to feel like there's depth back there. So we want lots of layers and lots of variation. So, which I think we're getting. It looks pretty good. Little by little. But I think I am gonna do a, just because this will help. I think putting some suggestion of some again vertical branches going through will really, especially when you get up close. I am not putting the rail and the fence and all of that. I'm taking all that and that sign out because it doesn't add to my vision for this painting, so of course it's got to go. Little by little we see a few important through the trees, so that these helps anchor. And again, I don't know, oh, you can see it I guess on your screen. Helps us anchor these. Also go in horizontally and put some more kind of suggestions of shadow along the bank. Maybe they're rocks or fallen logs or whatever, but having that dark kind of, some of the darker tones in there gives the whole thing a grounds it, if that makes sense. And as we come forward, we see more detail, even though there's not more detail there. It helps us to put these things in space, in place. And having kind of this dark, shadow edge here pushes us to the color, the value, everything pushes us further in. This beautiful blue with the yellow, even though that looks almost turquoise, like, it looks like it's a Caribbean stream. It's a little bit of a fantastical place, more than perhaps if it was. And we can take some other tones into it. The creeks around here get this really beautiful kind of more green turquoise. It's hard to explain. It's like a really like a deep greenish, beautiful greenish color. So I wonder if I can mimic it a little bit. I don't know. I'm trying to do it from memory too, which it's not going to be my perfect. Yeah, this is almost it. Maybe I can do that, like, we can give more shadow here, then it will allow us to then we can take some of this and just do some real little suggestions of shadow in the water. There we go. What do you think? What do y'all think? Okay, now what we want to do is take more of a blue, our blue tone, almost a purple. See if we can take that and disappear almost into this. So we have almost 3 zones of this, but it can almost disappear once it gets so dark down here that it just starts to blend into the shadows and everything that's going on down here. We can't tell what is rock and what is water. I mean, we know, but we're losing all those edges down there. We know that it's disappearing, but makes sense. There we go. We know there's water down here and it's kind of going along this way, and we can also take some of this up into here, do more that shadow work so that it looks more realistic, how it would flow around these rocks, so that it's not just all of a sudden we have shadow, you know, lines of demarcation essentially. There we go. It looks pretty cool, in my opinion, especially for something we're just kind of making up from the reference. We're kind of doing what we want with it. Now, I do want to see what we can do with this. What can I do with a of this. Okay, let me come in here and lay in where I want these shapes to be. And I can use, I think, what's there to help me, because I do like kind of how it is. Again, I'm just kind of building out shapes of these branches. And how the light would catch them, and if I shut off this light, I wonder what it does. Yeah, so you can, I mean, you're getting a little glare from my overhead light, but you can see how dark that is, the original painting. So it's amazing how different my skill is from a few years ago, in a good way. Okay, that's my red. Now I want to go back with kind of my green brown. And do the I'm doing kind of a dark blue. Oh my goodness. So that I can see, again, just kind of adjusting values versus specific color. I mean, I'm trying to get in the ballpark, but I'm more concerned with, can I get an interesting value that reads these trees, because that's what makes it really stand out, in my opinion. And we need a lot of layer and nuance to this to make it feel like it is not just a two-dimensional image, but that there is some form there. And I'm just kind of, as I have these colors on my brush, I'm kind of doing the edges as well. So because I do want this part to be kind of that orangish color and yellow. I do, in the past, I put it way back. You know, I took this really dark because I wanted to I don't know, I wanted to make this the focus, but I didn't have the skill to do that. So now that I have a little better skill, I want to really see if I can do that. Excuse me while I paint. I know watching me paint the sides of a canvas is not fun or interesting, but if I don't do it while I'm painting, then I end up with these kind of inconsistent sides. Hey there, Bob G. Thanks. You can see the reference photo in the right hand side of your screen. It's more, I think it's more a path that is through the trees, or you know, it comes along like a walking path around a bend, and there's, I think, a bridge or something above us that is, it's not a cave. The way I painted it first makes it look like a cave, but I'm trying to correct it and salvage it a little bit as I can, if I can. I'm sure I can now because it's coming together pretty nicely. But I'm trying to really be smart about controlling values, which is the lights and darks of the painting. And so I'm going in and putting some putting in some shadows. We started in the back doing that because that's where I want the focal point to be. And I'm pretty happy with how that turned out, or is turning out. And so I am now going back in here and reestablishing some of these shadows in the trees, just basically carving out some spots. I'm trying to hey, buon noite. E bon via, bindo, bon vindo, welcome. I need to learn some more basic Portuguese. But yeah, it's really fun for me going back in these paintings that I did, in some cases, you know, a year or more ago, and being able to, I just see my whole approach, my ability has dramatically improved, and that makes me really, really happy. I saw recently or read an artist was talking about, I don't know who they were quoting, but they basically said, you know, when you're learning to paint something, it's all about what you can see. And the things that I see now are different, and the way I see things is different than it was when I first painted, you know, this painting, or when I started painting this painting years ago. And I'm realizing, and every time I do something I learn, of course. And I'm even noticing in this, as I'm doing this, like the way I'm going about it is less, let me draw a thing and, oh, let me carve out this rock that's here, or the idea of this rock, just by these little, you know, by these little, it looks like there's a bunch of rocks here, and I don't need to add much more. I don't think I need to add much more here, you know, detail wise. Adorei o quadro maravilhoso. Obrigado, muito obrigado. E eu entendi, Sim, tradutor. Y'all are watching me try to hodgepodge my Portuguese together from what I know of Portuguese and the little bit I know and what I know of Spanish live on the live stream. I bet you didn't expect that this evening. But no, it is a fun, I want to get so much better at Portuguese, but one day at a time. We will learn a little bit, little by little. Notice how just the underpainting I have, just putting shadows in here, in a, you know, is giving us this real feeling of stonework. It's really, that is cool to me. That you can, you know, take some shadow, kind of a shadow tone, and create all kinds of kind of a, I want to take this, make like this green, it's really a definite green. There's this bluish color in here. So some of these rocks have kind of a green tinge to them. So we'll put some of that in. Definitely over here where it reflects. what's around it. This is one of the most satisfying paintings, I think, that I have done recently. I think just because it's all coming together, not all, but it's coming together in a way that makes me really happy. These moss-colored stones up here just is really cool to see them. Without, again, there's not a lot of detail here. You just keep kind of carving some from what's there. I need to take this band. That was a bad part of the drawing from before. And I think I want to take some more blue into this. And start to Yes, it is. The yellow it's kind of like a fall scene, so the yellow is definitely vegetation. Um, I'm gonna straighten out this a little bit, but I need to get in the habit of taking pictures of these paintings before I start working on them, because I just realized that this is really turning out well, but I don't have the original, I don't think, to compare it to. It's kind of cool how all that is working, though. it's working. Just blend this all together a little bit, and suddenly you have this wall that looks like stone. And I think again, like, it's, I know I say this and it's like a broken record, but so much of this is like just very little detail. It doesn't need a lot of detail. To suggest that can get like a, let's see if we can take out some of these, this line that was in here so definitively. Came up here and I was cool, so I turned off my fan, and now I'm feeling warm. It's that time of year when the attic studio is cold, and then it's hot, and then it's cold. Take kind of this I want to take the edge of this out. I mean, I want to leave the suggestion there, but I don't want it to be so hard. There. This suggests the stone without making it so emphatic, if that makes sense. There. Now I want to take kind of the cut the maybe we want to do some rocks. There. Now, do I already have a brush I can use? Maybe. I think I can do like I need like a purple gray. What I'm trying to replicate is this pretty darn close. So I want this color. To come across. I'm just kind of mixing. Then when we come out here, we need a little tiny bit lighter when it gets kind of to this edge, when it comes out to the, when it comes on this edge, need a little bit, excuse me, I'm gonna take this right over the edge, paint this side, and again I apologize, but I really want it to, I don't want these white edges of the paint of the canvas to stand out. We will just brush them in real quick if we can do it without there we go. Okay, now we have kind of this lighter part of the sidewalk that comes out towards. It's subtle, but it lets us know that we have a difference in the light. Okay. Now I need to bring it very light, the same kind of shade. I need to bring up here. We want kind of a soft edge here because it kind of blends into that. Also lets us keep this bright, but the sun is not shining, because the reference photo was probably taken in the middle of the day where the sun was pretty direct down, because these are bright. But I want it to appear like the sun is coming this direction and we're getting all this here, and there's a very definite shadow cast here, but this is also still in the light. It's just not direct sunlight. So we're gonna have to really balance that when we try to do that. So let's see if we can. You do want all these variations in the path, because it really is it is a gradient in the way the light catches it. And we want the eye of the viewer to go like, oh, there's the light. If I could just go around the bend, I would see what is there, like what's shining back there. And that's what I want the feeling to be. All right, I'm pretty happy with this. I think I want to do some refining of these edges, really want it to be really clear. There's a kind of a drop off there. And that will give us more. Sorry, I'm taking your painting again to do edges, but that will give us some more well, basically it's a pardon me, a few more, a little bit more. Again, if I don't do these while I'm painting there, then I forget, and then that's why this edge is not painted the last time I painted this 2 or 3 years ago. I kind of quit painting on these small stretched canvases. Not quit, but I replaced them with the panel because I just seem to like the panels. They're thinner, they're easy to frame, they're easy to work with. So yeah, that's kind of what I've done. Now I'm on a roll. I'm going up the side of the painting as well. I'll do that later since you all can't see that, but I went along the edge. So, okay, now we have these clear kind of stone places. Now we want to do a there we go. And then I want to take that, do just a little bit. I don't want it too bright, but I do want to suggest that there is a little waterfall there. We'll go with that lighter color around these rocks. That gives us because the sun will catch it right at the top, and then kind of when it bubbles around the rocks. As it gets closer to us, we need more detail or apparent detail. It needs to look like it's going around these rocks and creating some turbulence. Hi, Natasha. It's good to see you. You and Gary have been on my mind over the last year. I don't get on Facebook often, but I sort of keep track of what's going on and have definitely been thinking of you. There we go. I think this is doing what I want to do, which I want it to feel kind of like this fantasy land back here that we all want to step into, that, you know, we want to go around the corner and see what's happening and what, you know, what's there, what, you know, is there another waterfall around the bend? Is there even more, you know, I don't know. That's what I want it to feel like. So that's the feeling, and I think it's pretty much there. We're getting there. So now I use that brush to, this is a bigger one. I don't know, an 8-inch filbert. I don't know if I can do, let's see. Let's just try where's my ochre? There it is. We have about 20 minutes to see what we can get done on there. It's working. I keep leaning. Great. That's the intent. I wanted to take the reference and kind of push it in a more almost like a fantasy world. It's not fantastical, you know, it's like these places exist, especially in Arkansas, right? The natural state is the natural state for a reason. Just saying. But I want to take this, like I said, in a little more of a fantastical direction, the feeling of it. Great. Yeah, if it reminds people of places they've been or where they wish they were, like, that's really ideal for me and will make me very happy. Let's see. And I'm doing kind of just again, shaping this. Again, if I can do these shapes correctly, then I can build on them. If the, you know, if they look organic and the lights and the darks look correct, then I can always add highlights or lowlights or this type of thing. Okay, this is a highlight spot. This is a highlight spot. And these are there. Do I have the main shape pretty good? I think I do. And there are these we don't need a lot of, I don't think I'm even going to give these rocks any more definition because it just doesn't need it. And I don't want the eye getting stuck here. I want it to look like it has much more detail than it does. Especially if you step back at a distance. But there we go. I do want to get these few suggestions of orange out on the ends of these branches. Then we'll take more of these up in here. Y'all, I am super stoked about this painting. It is really looking pretty. And by pretty, I mean like what I want to do in my head is appearing on the canvas, and that makes me so happy. Let me turn this off because it's got such a glare. Oh, you can't really tell either there. Looks but let's take a little bit of this yellow. Okay. the yellow is so saturated that I don't want to do too much of it. Hey there, thank you. I am kind of super shocked, but also super happy that I've been able to salvage this to the point that I am, because I didn't think I could do that. And it is really coming together in a way that makes me very happy. The key for me is to not go too crazy on this, because I have a tendency when something's working to be like, ooh, let me add it everywhere, and I don't want to do that. Putting just a little bit of this yellow in here. I do want this section to be very clearly a yellow section and this to be kind of orange. So that's why I'm doing more here. And it is difficult to do this in a way that doesn't get all muddy and murky, because this is all wet on wet. But I think it really does. Now I have to be super careful, because I'm noticing this is getting really light. And I don't want it to pull. I don't want the person who's viewing the painting to get stuck here and not. I want this, and I'm losing a little bit of this pop because this is so bright. So I have to be super careful I don't just go after the so we'll soften some of that a little bit. I think taking this red and brown back, taking some green even, we will know what this is. There we are. we're getting there. Again, the colors can be super vibrant. We just want them to be balanced with the values-wise. Okay, now there's a little bit of these that are we want our branches to be there, but we don't want them as bright. That's what's happened when you lose the value. You end up taking your branches way too bright, in my opinion. And I went way too bright trying to get them to stand out. So, because we want them to be visible. But we don't want them. So, let's see if we can do a little bit of this. Just do a suggestion. They're almost too, just the suggestion. There's a branch there. Again, that's almost too bright again. So it needs to be in relationship to what's around it, if that makes sense. Okay, I only have about 2 minutes left, so I have to wrap this up, especially because I have to be at jury duty early in the morning, so okay, that's it for now, but I'm super happy with where this went tonight. Let me get my step back here and turn my camera back around, and I can show you where it is, hopefully in decent light. So we'll come back here, and I will turn my main camera around again. Thank you to all of you who came to hang out with me this evening. As always, I love being in the studio with you, and appreciate the time that you carve out of your week to share with me. I enjoy it so much. So let's take a look. Let's see. Let me put you back here. There's my main camera. All right. Oh, it's not coming through very good, is it? Because of the, well, sorta. Not really, because you get that overhead light so badly. But that's kind of where we are. I will post some of these pictures to Instagram stories, so if you want to take a look there. Not quite done. See, I need to paint these edges because you can see it, and it is distracting kind of on these edges, the parts that I haven't painted. But I'm so much happier with this one than I was when it started. Oh, that's not too bad. I'm kind of shocked we were able to retrieve it or rescue it. But thank you again for joining me. I will, I'm trying to think if anything's going on next Monday. There was some Monday where I wasn't going to be here, but we'll plan on next Monday would be episode 168 of the live stream. So I hope you have a great week. Hey, Big Toe, good night. Thank you so much, as always, for being here the whole time and supporting this process and my work. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all who chimed in. Even if you didn't chime in, I'm so glad to have you here on the live stream. And I will look forward to seeing you next Monday evening, 6 p.m. Mountain Time here. Wherever you're watching, YouTube is the primary channel, but YouTube, Facebook, wherever you find me, so glad to have you join me in the studio. Hope you have a great week, and until then, yeah, good luck and have a good night.